Welcome to Jazz on My Mind, coast to coast. Broadcasting live from the Paradise Mall, Wilmington, Delaware. I'm Howard Watson, and here's your host, Richard Blackwell.
Thank you, Howard, and welcome to Jazz on My Mind, coast to coast. I'm Richard Blackwell. This is the show that is dedicated to jazz lovers around the world. Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m., 7 o'clock Pacific time, we bring you jazz events from Los Angeles to New York, along with performances and jazz chats with the legends, current and upcoming jazz stars. And get ready, you jazz heads, because tonight we're going to have an out-of-sight jazz time. With us tonight from the jazz group Infinity is trumpeter Farid Majeed and saxophonist Larry Williams. Plus tonight, backed by popular demand, we'll show the video performances by the Alfie Moss, Dexter Kuntz Project, and the Vince Lanier Quartet. But first, let's welcome my co-host, saxophone great Mr. Larry Unthank, to Jazz on My Mind.
Hello,
Larry,
Richard.
baby.
How are you, Richard?
Good to see you, man. How's everything been going?
I've had a fairly good few days in a row, and things are looking pretty good.
Well, you're looking great, baby.
Well, I feel good today.
Feel like talking some jazz tonight?
As usual.
We missed you last week. You know, if the audience don't know Larry's, you know, he's pulling through some things, and we're praying for him. So keep Larry Unthank in your prayers, ladies and gentlemen.
And Larry Unthank appreciates that.
Yes, he did. Now, what's been going on? You played last Saturday at the jazz spot here, the hottest new jazz spot, the Nomad. You did a thing there on Saturday for the happy hour.
Well, not a thing. I played a couple of tunes. Since I've been in my physical condition, it's very important for me to keep my chops up, meaning my vocal chops and my playing chops.
Right.
This situation gives me a numbness in my left hand, which is uncomfortable for saxophone players. Needless to say, yeah, I felt good. It's about keeping the chops up and being the entertainer that I've always set out to be. So I'm in good shape today.
Well, you are a marvelous entertainer, and I'm telling you, everyone in the tri-state area here on the East Coast in the jazz world, they always talk about Larry Unthank being their mentor, someone who has meant a lot to them. And you mean a lot to jazz, because you are a true jazz saxophonist. I know you started doing R&B.
Yeah.
And you gravitated to jazz from there.
And then I felt a need to be more available. There was at some point, I was telling a friend, that there's a point of no return when you have to decide whether you're going to settle for being a good or adequate saxophone player or being the best entertainer that I could. So at my house, you know, we grew up with all kinds of records, from Sinatra to watching in the 50s, watching the variety shows. And seeing a wide variety of white, black, Asian, Latin artists doing their things on shows like, I don't want to go too far back.
Go ahead and go back. Let's.
Milton Berle.
Yeah, great show.
Milton Berle show.
Right.
They had so many different
variety
hours.
Yeah.
But needless to say, you got a chance to see them all.
Yeah.
And you got a chance to see them all at their best live on national television.
Yeah.
One shot. You got one shot to make it or break it.
Yeah, because just like this show, that show was live back then.
Exactly.
So you do it one time.
So that really impressed me when I was young, that people could actually do that. And I was naturally excited by performance. I played in the elementary school, high school, junior high school bands as a tuba player. So when it got to the point where it was like, well, can you sing this song and make these people smile? And I could.
Yeah.
I rapidly changed into, I guess, a pseudo Sinatra, a pseudo Wilson Pickett.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt the need to, when I was doing jazz, to be doing jazz.
Yeah.
But when I felt the need to be doing crossover material to kind of have people enjoy what I'm doing, then I was able to pick and choose on a lot of different aspects that I'd grown up with on the TV.
Yeah.
So I decided to become an entertainer, sometimes straight ahead player. But I get so much joy. I always tell my audience, they have no idea how much fun I'm having.
Yeah, and I've heard about how much your presentation, how great it is, and how much the audience enjoys watching you.
Yeah, two of my philosophies. One, take no prisoners when you get out on stage.
Yeah.
The other is don't look too good nor talk too wise, because you could shoot yourself in the foot before you even get out there. So that's about it.
Well, you have been on the show now as my co-host, even going back to last season, and we have not had an opportunity to watch you perform. And so
I can't do it today.
Well, you don't have to worry about doing it today, because I got a little surprise for you and the audience. I've got a video
Get out.
of you performing, and this is a great honor for me to show this, because, like I said, you have been here talking about jazz for many months while the other performers perform. So the audience, I'm sure they probably have been saying, when is Larry going to perform? And unfortunately, due to your health,
we weren't able to hook up.
We weren't able to do that. And but I found a video of you performing at a place in New Jersey, which is called the Fireside Cafe, the Firehouse Cafe. Wonderful place in New Jersey. Beautiful place.
Lou and his crew over there do a fantastic
Lou
job.
Rogers, my man.
Yes.
And you were singing a song. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Larry Unthank singing. So, Larry, do me a favor. Set the video up. You're doing...
I'm not sure which one.
Bye Bye Blackbird. Do you remember some of the musicians you had playing with you that day?
Yeah, I had Mark Johnson on keys, Sammy Jones on bass, fantastic drummer out of Atlantic City named Tony Day.
All right.
Sorry, Tony. He's hot. He's bad.
Yeah.
And myself in a quartet doing some book tunes.
Yeah. Well, this one I did. Do you remember when this was shot? Do you remember?
Not vaguely. I worked there several times over a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, can we check it out?
I'd love to.
I know the audience is waiting.
I'm waiting to see which one it is myself.
So let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the man, Mr. Larry Unthank, performing on Jazz on My Mind.
Pack up all my cares and woes. Here I go, singing low. Bye, bye, a blackbird. Where somebody waits for me. Sugar sweet, so is she. Bye, bye, blackbird. No one there to love and understand me. All those hard luck stories, they all had me. So make my bed and light the light. I'll be coming home tonight. Blackbird, bye bye. Go ahead, Marty. sweet and so is she. A bird, baby, I say blackbird. Now there's no one here to love me, understand me. Oh, those hollow stories, they all here through me. So the light, I'll be coming home tonight. Blackbird, baby, bye, 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 bye. I said blackbird. Keep it right there.
Larry Unthank, my man, what a
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun watching again. Yeah, doing videos is not something, even in the beginning when recording was very popular. I was in New York in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I got to New York on the nation's anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? 19. No, that's 1776. But I was there. I was there in 1976. My first day in New York.
Thank you, Vincent.
Oh, thank you, Vincent. Well, I lived in upstate New York in my youth. This was my first trip actually being to New York.
Yeah.
At that time, I was more interested in being a performer. And let me just throw this little plug for a friend of mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who really was the first guy I saw that really knocked my socks off. And he's a local cat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in my late teens. I had seen a lot of bands. And what I thought was a lot of good bands. But I saw Larry Tucker one night in a house party.
I heard he's great performer.
At a house party at 11th and Bennett, of all places. And those of you who know what I'm talking about, can you imagine a full band in there? I think Ron Cephas was in the band. They floored me. They just flat out floored me. To this day, I can see it right now.
Yeah.
And that is what started pushing me more toward performance out front as to being a sideman in the back. Yeah. Although being a sideman in New York is really important.
Yes, it's very important. Very important.
But I just wanted to give that plug to Larry. He was the first one to really
got you moving, Larry Tucker.
This band is too
out of
much.
sight. Well, you were out of sight in that performance, and I'm telling you, I'm so glad that I was able to find that.
Well, I'm glad too.
To you. All right? Don't go anywhere. Stick around. We've got two other great musicians coming up. We're all going to talk together, so you're going to stick around?
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Larry Unthank on Jazz on My Mind. All right, stay tuned, everyone. Coming up, we're going to have a jazz chat with two legends of jazz. Farid, Majeed, and Larry Williams. But first, it's time for you to get that pen and paper ready. You know we do this each and every week. It's time now for This Week in Jazz. And let's start with This Week in Jazz on the West Coast. And let's begin in Los Angeles. Los Angeles has a new jazz spot, and it's called NOLA's. Now at NOLA's, you can get some great live jazz with a touch of New Orleans. Plus, every Sunday, they have their jazz champagne brunch. For more information, you can call NOLA's at area code 213 and the number 680-3002. Also, at the World Stage, that's another one of my favorite spots for jazz. At the World Stage, they've always got some jazz cooking at the house that Billy Higgins built. The World Stage is located at 4344 Degnan in Los Angeles. The World Stage also has a fantastic youth jazz workshop. For more information, you can call my good friend Matt Gibson at the World Stage. His number is area code 323, and the number is 293-2451. Once again, that's the World Stage. And the Catalina Bar and Grill always has some great jazz. On Thursday, December 1st through Sunday, December 4th, it's the Mike Stern Jazz Band. Once again, it all happens at the Catalina Bar and Grill, located at 6725 Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, California. For more jazz info, just log on to their website, which is catalinabarandgrill.com. And for all of our great viewers in the Midwest, in Chicago, you can check out a jam and jazz spot known as the Green Mill Cocktail Lounge. They're located at 4802 North Broadway in Chicago. You can reach them by calling area code 773, and the number is 878-5552. And in Cleveland, Ohio, they've got an excellent spot for jazz called Nighttown. They're located at 12387 Cedar Road in Cleveland, Ohio. You can reach them at area code 216 and the number 795-0550. And let's not forget the St. Louis, Missouri. Some people say it's the birthplace of jazz and blues. In St. Louis, they've got an outstanding jazz club called Jazz at the Bistro. They're located at 3536 Washington Boulevard in St. Louis, Missouri. For more jazz information, all you have to do is log on to their website, which is jazzatthebistro.com. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, for all jazz events from coast to coast, just log on to our website, which is jazzonmymind.com. Make sure you keep that pen and paper handy, because coming up in just a little bit, I'm going to give you this week's jazz events for the East Coast. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome two outstanding men of jazz. From the group Infinity, let's welcome saxophonist Larry Williams and trumpeter Farid Majeed to Jazz on My Mind. Farid, thank you. Larry, thank you. All right. Good to have you gentlemen on the show. This is probably the second time you've been on, but the first time this season. And first time with having a nice conversation with us. And Larry, you were on last week, and we talked about Infinity, and we talked about some great jazz doing that show as well. It's good to have both of you gentlemen on the show.
Great.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really great to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. You saw Larry's performance. What did you think of Larry Unthank's performance?
Well, what can I say? What can I say? From one saxophonist to another, got to give it up to him.
Well, I appreciate it.
You know, it's an...
And I want a copy.
He was. You know, it's good having you. It's really exciting for me to have you three gentlemen here because we talk quite often on the phone. We talk about jazz. We talk about Wilmington, Delaware being the jazz capital of the world because you gentlemen exemplify what jazz is about in this city. Now, you're with a group called Infinity. You gentlemen have performed on the show. In fact, you were on last season when you did your great jazz. How's the group been coming along for Farid?
We're still, it's coming. We're not working as much as we'd like to. And I think that's largely due to the type of music that we're playing. But we're still working on it.
You got to stay positive because the music that Infinity plays, there is a niche for that type of music. People still want to hear that straight ahead jazz. And to have you gentlemen performing it and doing it so wonderful, that is a great, great joy to me. Don't be shy, Farid.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. You know, there's a niche for all of it. You know, there's a niche for the smooth jazz, there's a niche for R&B, and there's a niche for us.
Yeah, yes it is. Now, you guys are doing some things around in the city here in Wilmington, Delaware. You've performed, you gentlemen did the Nomad, and you guys did a great job at the Nomad. You also performed at the Boise Lowry Tribute about 3 weeks ago here in Wilmington, Delaware. That had to be an outstanding pleasure for you guys.
Oh, it was. It was. I mean, you know, not only just for us performing, but for the fact of being around so many of the students of Boise Lowry. It was almost like a family homecoming.
Yes, exactly. Now, Farid, you and your trumpet playing, I'm telling you, I love to watch you play the trumpet. I love to hear you and I love to watch you. You spent some time with Boise Lowry as well. Where did you get your formal trumpet playing?
My formal trumpet playing really started with Boise because music for me, I didn't really discover that it was really a part of me until later on in my life. I mean, I've always been one that loved instruments. So I think I was 22 years old when I discovered Boise.
And you're doing such a great job.
Yeah, well, I went out and I bought me a horn for $135. And actually, I'm still playing it.
Same horn.
Yeah, but I started with Boise. And then I have to say, even those formative years that I was with Boise, I still didn't take the music seriously. So it was a while before I started doing it. So I look at myself still as a trumpeter that's still learning this music. But working with Larry and I have been working for years together. And Un's no stranger to me either. He and I have done a few things before too. But working with Larry and Vernon this is something great for me.
I was going to ask you to give the names of the other musicians in Infinity. We know Larry Williams is your saxophonist. You're the trumpeter.
Yes.
Who else comprises the group, Infinity?
Bernard Samuels on piano, and George Wilkerson is playing drums with us. We recently ran into a bass player, Mark, I hate to mess his last name up, Perkolowski, from out of Philadelphia.
That was good.
Out of Philadelphia, good bass player. So we're still working on. Well, I guess you could say we're still evolving with this, with the group. But the music that we have, we love what we're playing.
Yeah.
And we do know that there is an audience out there for it. So I think time will take care of that for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can ask you, what is the goal of your group Infinity? First of all, it is an excellent collection of musicians. When you gentlemen step on that stage to perform, and I'm asking a hypothetical question, a rhetorical question, but I want you to give an answer. When you step on that stage, what is your goal?
Well, I think I'll use Art Blakey's philosophy on that. What he used to say. When we're on the stand and we're performing and you look out in the audience and you don't see heads nodding, hands clapping and feet tapping, then you look around and you say, well, we're doing something wrong. Because when everything is coming together, when we're getting our message across, all that happens. And that's the whole thing. You want to present music that people can understand, that they can have a good time to, that that they can groove to.
Yeah.
And straight ahead jazz can groove.
Yes, it can. Larry Unthank.
Yes.
Now, He has this mic, Larry. These two gentlemen, Larry Williams and Farid Majeed, what do you think about their musicianship?
I've known these guys for decades. Larry and I first met at Delaware State College in 1970. I was playing alto at the time. Farid, I met a few years later at Christina Cultural Arts Center. The
Which is a
original
great
one.
spot for for learning your craft.
I also at the time met Boise and a multitude of others, Vernon James, Deanie Jenkins. That's some old guys that were trying to tell me, but I wasn't listening. So that was the mid-'70s, I believe. So I've known them a long time. Their musical attributes are many. One of the biggest things we did together, and for the longest period of time, was play in the Boise Lowry Big Band, which was a wonderful experience because I hadn't really played in a big band at that point, and I wasn't a very good reader. And these guys helped me get along through the charts, along with Vernon James and Boise and some others, which it gave me the confidence, which is another thing I always want to say about Boise. Boise gave me confidence, where I thought that I wasn't that good and didn't know as much as I knew. He gradually put certain labels on certain things that allowed me to understand the things that I already knew but did not have a label for. So, these guys, they're like my brothers, and we go that far back.
Well, I think
and they're both great players.
I think it's beautiful for you gentlemen to be here on the show together and get to talk about your growth as musicians and as people together. I think that's very important.
Jazz City, USA?
Wilmington, Delaware. Now, what we're going to do, we've been talking about Infinity, Farid and Larry Williams and Vernon James and Bernard Samuels and George Wilkerson. And we're going to show a clip of Infinity performing on Jazz on My Mind last season when you gentlemen were on. And in this particular clip, you have, of course, Bernard Samuels on keyboards, Vernon James on sax, Larry Williams on sax, Farid on trumpet, and you had Dill McDaniel on bass. You gentlemen want to check it out? I know the audience can't wait. You ready to check it out? All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. From last season's show, here's a fantastic performance by a premier jazz group called Infinity. Here's Infinity, ladies and gentlemen, on Jazz on My Mind. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Woo, let's hear, ladies and gentlemen, for Infinity. Man, Farid, you were blowing that trumpet. Larry, I'm telling you, you guys are outstanding. Since we couldn't arrange to get you gentlemen on the show to perform live, I thought that I would surprise you with a video performance.
Thank you for that.
Is that cool?
Oh, yeah, wonderful.
Now, Larry, since you have the mic, and ladies and gentlemen, back with us is Farid Majeed, the trumpeter from Infinity, and Larry Williams, the saxophonist, and the great saxophonist Larry Unthank. But you two gentlemen, Infinity, that's the kind of music that is cooking. You guys were working. What was the name of that song, Larry?
That was a tune called The Kids. It's a composition by Lem Winchester, who was one of the premier jazz musicians around this town back in the late 50s and very early 60s.
Yeah, we were talking about Lem Winchester this past Saturday on Bop Time with Steve Leach. And I'm just amazed at this gentleman's career, and it's unfortunate that it ended so shortly, but what a tremendous songwriter and also vibe player. Yes, Farid.
Just to share with you, the drummer, George Wilkerson, that was his brother.
Yeah, that's right. And you enlightened me to that. That was his brother.
Yes, George, he tells great stories.
Yeah, we got to get George on the show with you gentlemen before we end.
He actually lived some of that. He was around his brother when his brother was had a lot of those well-known musicians before they were well-known coming to the house for his brother. So he could tell you some great stories.
See, and you know, gentlemen, this is why it's important to me that we let people know about the history of jazz music in Wilmington, Delaware. It's like, you would think that this is almost like an island, that Wilmington, Delaware is on an island, and all the jazz was there, but we got to spread that jazz around the world. We want to take it to other levels and other people so that they can appreciate what you gentlemen are doing. Musically, it's outstanding. And plus, ladies and gentlemen, they are a great group of guys. I love these guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, performing, you guys are doing some things here. We're hoping to have you guys doing more things in the tri-state area because that type of music has to stay alive. Do you agree with that, Farid?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Larry?
Yeah,
I'm with that all the way.
Now, Infinity, how long have you guys been together as a group?
Well, I guess off and on, I'd say maybe about 4.5 years, maybe about 5 years.
Okay. And I know it's got to be a joy. I know rehearsals are out of sight as well as the performances.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a lot of fun. Well, for me, being the chief arranger of the band, it's a whole lot of fun for me to just bring the charts in and hear these guys perform this stuff and say, wow, so this is what it all sounds like.
Yeah. Now, Larry, Farid told us about his musical background. Where did you get your formal training?
Well, Boise was a part of it, and I had some other teachers in junior high and high school. Plus, there was 4 wonderful summers I spent at the Wilmington Music School at the Summer Jazz Workshop with Dave Schiff's father, Hal Schiff.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to meet some wonderful people: Herbie Hancock, Donald Byrd, Pepper Adams, Bobby Timmons, and people like that.
Now, it's important that we keep this music alive for different reasons. Number one, because there's so much history involved in the music that you gentlemen play. And not only that, it's so joyful to hear that music and to be bopping. Like you said, Larry, if the audience is not bopping their head, you're not doing something right.
Doing your job.
Yeah, you're not doing
it. Now, Larry Unthank.
Yes.
Man, have you ever played with these gentlemen before?
Oh, many times. Many times.
Yeah.
And many situations. Always good. Always fun. Always cutting edge in terms of material. And what's really important among players is what are you thinking about? We in big bands and small bands we play a lot of the same songs a lot of times, and then there are a lot of songs that have the same key, that are in the same key and have the same chord structure, except for different minute directions that it takes at different parts of the tune, which obviously makes it one tune from another tune.
Right.
That being said, Larry was, and we talked about perfect pitch and absolute pitch. Well, Larry is one of the few human beings on earth that has absolute pitch.
Wow.
And I mean few human beings on earth. I'll never forget when we were sitting in the lounge and somebody blew the horn and he said, "Oh, that's a B flat over something," and I just looked at it. I said, "How can you tell that?" He said, "Oh, I just can't. I can just split them." Wow. So that was my first indication that there was even anything remotely called absolute pitch. I was having fun just staying in tune with most musicians. But yeah, these guys are top notch, and we're all getting better because we're all starting to see some of the Boise stuff that Boise was telling us. But he wasn't telling us, "Hey, play this exactly like this." He said, "This is the gateway."
Well, it's amazing, and what's another outstanding point is that all three of you were influenced by one of the greatest teachers in the world, Boise Lowry.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all three of you. And ladies and gentlemen, you saw the video with Larry Unthank performing tonight. You saw Infinity with Larry Williams and also Farid and Majeed. All three of these gentlemen were influenced by Boise Lowry. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful tribute to Boise Lowry, having you gentlemen do what you do.
Oh yeah, most definitely. He was very individualistic as far as how he taught everyone. I like to think of him in terms of he was the Duke Ellington of teaching, because how Duke wrote specifically for certain people.
Right.
Well, Boise's teaching was always for certain. If you needed something, he would give you that.
Yeah.
Or if someone else needed something, he would give them what they needed. And he always seemed to be able to read a person and say, "Okay, this is what you need to do."
Yeah, and help you move on further with your career. Well, gentlemen, stick around. We're going to come back. We're going to see another video clip, and this one is of Boise Lowry's nephew's group, Dexter Kuntz, the Alfie Moss Dexter Kuntz Project. Their video is going to be coming up in a few minutes, okay? You gentlemen going to come back?
Yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Farid Majeed, Larry Williams, and Larry Unthank on Jazz on My Mind. Also, ladies and gentlemen, coming up, we're going to have that dynamite video performance from the great saxophonist, another saxophonist, Vince Ledere. That's going to be coming up in just a couple of minutes. But first, let's check out the jazz events happening on the East Coast for this week in jazz. And I want to start with tomorrow night, which is Thursday. And it happens each and every Thursday night. It's the Thursday night jazz party at Basil Bar and Grill. Now, Basil's located inside the Sheraton Hotel here in Wilmington, Delaware, the jazz capital of the world. That address to the Sheraton is 422 Delaware Avenue. Now, each and every Thursday night, we feature a different out-of-sight jazz band. And this Thursday is going to be a group called Full Effect. The music begins at 8 p.m. and the Thursday night jazz party is hosted by yours truly. So if you're ever in the tri-state area on a Thursday night, make sure you come by Basil Bar and Grill, 422 Delaware Avenue. Also, ladies and gentlemen, jazz at its finest. You can find it at the Nomad Jazz Bar, located at 905 North Orange in Wilmington, Delaware. Each and every weekend, they've got a great jazz show. To find out more about their jazz events, just call area code 302 and the number 655-8800. And when you go by the Nomad, be sure to tell my good friends Linda Vandover and also Dave Vandover and Larry Spencer I said hello. Once again, that's the Nomad for hot jazz in Wilmington, Delaware. And if you want some jazz on the radio, all you got to do is tune in to my friend Farid. She's on the radio every Monday morning from 3 until 6 a.m. You can catch Farid on WPFW, which is 89.3 FM out of Washington, D.C. The best thing about Farid's jazz show, you can listen to it anywhere in the world. All you have to do is log on to WPFW.org. And if you're looking for some great jazz on a Monday night, well, you got to check out the Tony Williams Jazz Jam Session. It happens each and every Monday night at the La Rose Social Club. Their address, 5531 Germantown Avenue in Philadelphia. The jazz begins at 6 and it goes on until 11 p.m. Once again, Monday night with Tony Williams. And on each and every Sunday, the world famous Warm Daddies has their out-of-sight jazz brunch. They're located at 1400 Columbus Avenue in Philadelphia. The food at Warm Daddies is always delicious and the jazz is out of sight. You can check them out. Just log on to their website, which is warmdaddies.com. And for all of you viewers in Atlanta, Atlanta has a hot jazz spot called Cafe 290. Every Sunday, they have their Sunday night all-star jam session. For more information, you can call Cafe 290 at area code 404 and the number 256-3942. And you can't leave out the Big Apple for jazz on the East Coast. New York has a wonderful jazz spot, and it's called the Town Hall Jazz Club. They're located at 131 West 3rd in New York. You can reach them at area code 212 and the number 475-8592. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, once again, for all the jazz events from coast to coast, just log on to the website, jazzonmymind.com. Now, you jazz heads, backed by popular demand, this is an out-of-sight video. It's done by the Vince Lanier Quartet. It was recorded 2 years ago at Galluccio's here in Wilmington, Delaware. This video features Tom Palmer on drums, Bob Colligan on bass, Tony Maselli on vibes, and Vince Lanier on sax. Here they are doing The End of a Love Affair, the Vince Lanier Quartet on Jazz on My Mind.
One, two.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Vince LaDeer Quartet. Tom Palmer on drums, Bob Colligan on bass, Tony Maselli on vibes, and Vince LaDeer on sax. Man, out of sight. Whew, I love that video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know that Wilmington, Delaware is not only the capital of jazz, but it's also the home of one of the greatest Caribbean restaurants in the world. This is where we do our show each and every Wednesday night, and it's called the Paradise Palms Caribbean Restaurant. They're located in Wilmington, Delaware at 901 North King, downtown Wilmington. Now, the food here at the Paradise Palms is so good. That's because the head chef, Mr. Wendell, prepares every dish with the love of Jamaica. Dishes like jerk chicken, baked fish, red beans and rice, cabbage, greens, and so much more. So the next time your taste buds say Caribbean, you gotta come to the Paradise Palms. Once again, the address is 901 North King in downtown Wilmington, Delaware. You can reach Mr. Wendell by phone by calling area code 302 and the number 377-2528. Or you can log on to the website, which is paradisepalms.com. Now, ladies and gentlemen, got another video from our video vault. Backed by popular demand, one of the most popular groups here in the tri-state area, the Alfie Moss Dexter Kuntz Project. Now, you're going to see a video that we showed a couple of weeks ago, and you've been emailing me like crazy saying we want to see it again. So here it is. It's Alfie Moss and Dexter Kuntz, along with their fantastic musicians, Dwight McIntosh on keyboards. Dexter's going to be playing guitar in this particular segment. You've got the late, great Wilby Fletcher Jr. on drums, and on bass, the one and only Mr. Charles Beasley. So here they are, ladies and gentlemen, the Alfie Moss Dexter Kuntz Project on Jazz on My Mind.
There's far too little you died in a useless war. We got to find a way to bring some love here to stay. Oh well, we'll find out. You know we don't need let's go play. War is not the answer for pain. You know we got to find a way to bring some love into today. Cause when we feel alive, make it so. Don't you push me with brutality. Walk with me, or maybe you can see what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. just Farid. Everybody stays away from us. Oh, but who will take the judge? Simply because our hair is long and dread along. We got to find the way today to bring some love here today. This life, it's a life. Don't you find sweet, build a bit of tangerines. Come on, walk with, talk with, baby, 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 see what's going on, 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 people going.
All right, the Alfie Moss, Dexter Kuntz project. I gave the list of that's Alfie Moss singing, of course. Dexter Kuntz on guitar, McIntosh, Mr. Jason McIntosh on keyboards. Also the late, great Will B. Fletcher Jr., another gentleman who was studied under the tutelage of Boise Lowry on drums. And also Rick Tate Jr. on sax and Charles Beasley on bass. The Alfie Moss, Dexter Kuntz project. Recorded 2 years ago on the riverfront here in Wilmington, Delaware. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome back Farid, Majeed, Larry Williams, and also Larry Unthank. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for coming out tonight.
It was a pleasure.
All right.
Always a pleasure.
And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check us out next week, because on next week's show, we're going to have a little jazz from the islands with my man Trevor and the Island Vibe Jazz Group. Plus, we're going to spotlight a group called Point Blank. Also on hand from the Nomad, we're going to have Linda and Dave Vandiver and hopefully Harry Spencer. We're going to be here talking about what's going on at the Nomad here in Wilmington, Delaware. That's going to be next week's show, ladies and gentlemen. Also, don't forget, for more jazz entertainment, all you have to do is check out our jazz website, which is jazzonmymind.com. Log on to the website and become a member as we continue to do our part in keeping jazz alive. You can also like us on Facebook. I'd like to thank the crew tonight. I'd like to thank my director, Bernard Parker, our sound director, Mr. Vincent Atkins, and our floor manager, Shell Lynn. On behalf of my co-host, Larry Unthank, also saxophonist Larry Williams. Thank you, Larry, very much. And trumpet great, Mr. Farid Majeed. I'm Richard Blackwell. We want to thank each and every one of you for watching Jazz on My Mind.